Hey guys, welcome to Monday. So we are picking back up today with our solving equations notes. So on Thursday, actually, we went over one-step equations, and then we went over two-step equations that same day. These are the ones that I worked with you. And then we practiced on Friday. You did pages, you're supposed to do slides 2 and 3 of the tic-tac-toe. And so now we want to pick back up with multi-step equations in our notes. So this is in your journal, in your Algebra 1 journal on your Google Drive file. So you need to open that up. You need to have scratch paper out. I'm going to work the examples on this page here. So you need to work them on your page. And then you're going to work the your turn examples also on that sheet. And then I want you to take a picture and insert it here like you did for your other two slides, okay? So let's get started. So today we are working more than one step. We did 1 and 2 step last week. So this poster here, steps for solving equations, this is going to be really important. It's going to help us out a lot. So that's what we're going to follow. So let me write this example 1 over here. So this is example 1, 8c plus 5 equals 4c minus 11. Okay, so these steps are going to guide us through. So remember, and I think I told you guys this, but you can look at equations as each side is an expression. So there's one expression, okay? And then this side over here is another expression. So we know how to work with expressions. So sometimes we have to simplify each side, each expression on each side before we can actually begin solving the equation. So let's look at some examples here. Okay, so the first step is step number 1, draw your line down the middle. Well, you do that every time. Remember, we have to remember that equations are balanced. Whatever we do on one side, we have to do the other side, and that's what that line is going to help you remember. Whatever you're doing on one side, be sure and do it on the other side. So it says look for parentheses. Do I have any here? Nope, I don't see any parentheses, so I don't need to distribute. That's what step number 3 is, distribute if you have parentheses. Now step number 4 says combine like terms on each side. So I look over here and I see I have an 8c and a 5. Those are not like terms. I can't combine those. This term has a c. This is just a constant, just a number by itself. So those cannot be combined. Okay, well over here on this side I have a 4c and a negative 11. Again, those are not like terms. I can't combine those. So I've done step number 4. I don't have to do that step either. So number 5, get your variables together. Aha, well I see I have an 8c and on this side and a 4c on that side. So I really need those terms together. So we can move those terms around just like we've been doing with our constants, with our numbers when we go to solve. Now, which one you're going to move to which side is your preference. It honestly does not matter. I usually take the smaller number and I move it over to the side with the bigger one. But remember, in order to move things around on equations, we have to do that a certain way, okay? So let's get our variables together. So I'm looking over here and I know I need this term right here, my 4c, I want it combined with the 8c on the other side. So I look at it and I can tell that it's positive, right? The 4 is positive. So I'm going to do the opposite, the same thing we've been doing. I'm going to subtract 4c. And remember, whatever you do to one side, you better do it to the other side. Now, before I just go write 4c over on this other side, I actually want to take a minute and I want to look and say, well, okay, I want to line it up with its like term on the other side. And I know I see that 8c there, so I want to write the 4c underneath the 8c because those are the ones that I can actually combine together. Remember, we can only combine like terms. So on this side, when I have 4c's and I subtract 4c's, that leaves me with no c's on that side. That's what I wanted. Now all I have left on this side is negative 11, so I'm going to bring it down. Well, over here now I have 8c's subtract 4c's. Well, that leaves me with 4c's. And I still have this positive 5. I'm going to bring it down. Okay, good. So now we have our variables together. The last step is solve. Now this equation right here that we're left with, when we get to step number 6, you're at a 1 or 2 step equation, what we practiced last week. So now I'm going to grab a different color. I see that I have this term c right here in one spot. That's what I wanted. I want my variable in one spot and I have a plus 5. So what I'm going to do is I need to get that by itself. I need to isolate that term with the variable on one side by itself. So it has a plus 5 added to it. So I actually need to subtract 5. Remember, whatever you do to one side, we still have to do it to the other side. Okay, so plus 5 minus 5, that becomes 0. That's awesome. I'm going to extend my line. So now I just have 4c on this side. Well, what is negative 11 minus 5? Well, that's negative 16. You see how I'm getting closer and closer? So now I'm at a one-step equation. That's even better. Let me grab a different color. So I see I have 4c equals 16 at this point. Awesome. So in order to get c by itself, I notice that it's 4 times c. Remember, whenever two things are sitting side by side in algebra, that means they're multiplied. So I need to do the opposite of multiplication, which is actually division. Any number divided by itself divides out to be 1. So 4 divided by 4 is actually 1. That leaves me with just 1c. That's what I wanted. Now I'm almost there. So now I have to divide on this side. Negative 16 divided by 4. Well, and you can use your calculator for this. And I sent out a video over this weekend. If you haven't checked your email and you haven't checked your messages in Canvas, do that. There's a video that shows you how to find the calculator on your Chromebook. So negative divided by positive is a negative. 16 divided by 4 is 4. There's our solution to equation number 1. So see, it was quite a few steps, but that's okay. We used our poster. We have it with us to guide us as we go along. Okay, let's look at another example. So let me write down example 2. I'm going to write it down over here. I'm going to grab a different color. And let's see, example 2. Okay, well, I have 9a equals 6 times a plus 4. Okay, great. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to draw my line right here. Draw my line. Okay, great. Now, I want to follow the steps in my poster. I'm going to have to move back and forth. But the first step is draw your line. Great. We did that. Look for parentheses. Now, do I have them in this problem number 2? Yes, I do. So I'm going to have to distribute. So let's see what that looks like. Well, I see right here, I have a 6 in front of my parentheses. So remember, distribute means to multiply. Now, so basically what we're doing is we're going to take the expression on this side and we're going to simplify it first. Okay, so I see I have 6 times a. Well, 6 times a, I'm going to go ahead and bring that equal sign down. It comes down with us every time, and it always stays on the line in the middle. That's 6a. Well, 6 times 4, well, that's 24. Okay, so I've distributed. Now, I still have the 9a on this side. I need to write it down. We need to bring it along with us, okay? Now, what's my next step in my thing? Well, I need to combine like terms on each side. So let's take a look. Now, do I have any like terms on either side? Well, on this side, I just have an a. So there's nothing to combine with that term. On this side, I have the term also with an a, 6a, and I have 24. But those two terms on that side are not like. So I actually don't have any terms to combine on each side. They're completely combined on both sides. Okay, we'll see an example of that in a minute. So the next step is get your variables together. Whoops. So let's do that. Let's get our variables together. Just like we did before. Now remember, it's your choice which variable you want to take to which side. Again, I like to always move the smaller number towards the larger one. So I'm going to take the 6a over to the other side. Remember, we have to do that in a special way. We have to use opposite or inverse operations. Think what operation undoes. So if this 6a is positive, what's the opposite of positive? Well, it's negative. So I need to subtract 6a. And whatever you do to one side, you better do it to the other side as well. So anytime I have 6a subtract another 6a, well, that's become 0, right? Those are gone. Okay, so on this side, I'm just left with 24 now. So what is 9a's minus 6a's? Well, that's 3a's, right? Okay, so now look, we're down to a one-step equation. So we started off with something that looked kind of messy, and pretty quickly we're down to a one-step equation. Okay, so now how do I get a by itself? Well, it's multiplied by 3, so I'm going to do the opposite, which is divide. Remember, 3 divided by 3 divides out to be 1, so a really equals 24 divided by 3, which is 8. Perfect. Love it. Okay, so let's look at our third example now. Number 3. Okay, I'm going to have to keep scrolling back and forth. I didn't really think this through when I put this poster at the top. I really wish I could have moved it to the bottom, but that's okay. We'll go with what we have here. Make the best of it. Okay, let me grab another color. Let me see if I can find a nice color with a bright pink. Okay, so I'm going to write problem 3. I'm going to try to work it. I'm going to work it right in this spot over here, okay? So problem number 3. Now, this is not the your turns. These are, you're going to work these by yourself. I'm still working up here on our examples, okay? So I'm going to write this problem down. So 14 plus 2 times 4g minus 3 equals 40. Now, don't get this problem confused with the one that I just worked over here. So I know this is kind of messy. This is what my board looks like in my room, by the way, too, guys. I mean, I'm not great at keeping my board nice and neat. It always looks messy. Okay, here we go. So let's solve this problem. So let's look back at our steps. So step number 1 is draw a line. Okay, did we do that? Nope, so let's do that. Let's draw that line right down the middle. It's very important. Okay, awesome. Step number 2, what's it say? Well, it says look for parentheses and distribute if you have them. Okay, so let's do that. Let's go down here. Do I have parentheses? Yes, I do. I do have parentheses. Okay, so let's do that distributing. So I have a 2 right here. So I need to distribute this 2. Well, 2 times 4 is 8g. And 2 times -3 is -6. So I just took all of this stuff and rewrote it as 8g minus 6 because I distributed that 2. I still have the 14 and I still have the 40 on the other side. So I want to bring all of that down. You guys are tempted to not rewrite everything and bring it down, but I highly suggest that you go ahead and bring everything down and just, it's more to write, but it'll save you some time in the end, okay? So now this time, let's look and see what the next step is, all right? Well, combine like terms on each side. Okay, awesome. So let's do that. Let's look and see what do we need to combine. Well, over here, I see that I have 14, 8g, and -6 just on this one side. So I'm going to ask myself, which of those are like terms? Well, I know I can add the 14 and the -6 together, and I hope this is sounding familiar. This is like, oh yeah. So if I'm just looking at, and I'm going to scribble real quick. If I'm just looking at this side over here, and I ignore the other side, doesn't that look like an expression? Isn't that what we were doing? We were simplifying those expressions. Yeah, we were. We know how to do that. So that's basically what you're doing. You're simplifying the expression on each side first, and then you're solving your equation. And once you've simplified it on each side, you pretty much are down to a 1 or 2 step equation. So let's do that. Let's simplify the expression just on this left side. So what is 14 plus a -6? Well, you should get 8. So I combine this one and this one together. Now I'm still left with the 8g, so it needs to come down. It's positive 8g, and it equals whatever is on the other side, which is 40. Okay, great. So let's go back up. What's our next step? We combine like terms on each side, and now I need to get my variables together, and then the last step is to solve. So let's look. So when it says get your variables together, what you're looking for is you want to have your variable just in one spot on one side of the equation. And that's what we have right there. We have our variable in one spot on one side of the equation. It's right there. It's g. So our variable is together. We only have one term that has a variable in it, and it's on one side of the equation. So now we're back to a simplifying expressions, solving a like 2-step equation. So let's do that then. I see I have 8g. I want this term to be by itself. So I have this plus 8, positive 8 over to the end. So I need to do the opposite. What's the opposite of positive? Well, it's negative. So let's subtract 8 on both sides. I'm going to draw a line. Okay, move up a little bit. All right, so these cancel out. 8 minus 8 is 0. Great. All I'm left with on this side is 8g. So now I'm going to do my equal sign, and I have 40 minus 8, which is 32 on this side. Perfect. So now all I need to do is I need to get my g by itself, and 8 is multiplied by g, so I actually need to do the opposite of multiplication, which is division. So let's divide both sides by 8. So remember, any number divided by itself divides out to be 1. So I'm left with g equals, well, 32 divided by 8. What is that? If you're not sure, remember guys, you have a calculator. I suggest you use it. It's 4. Some of us are not strong with multiplication and division, and I know we're supposed to be, but now's not the time to go back and freak out about our multiplication, division, and adding integers. You have a calculator. You're allowed to use calculator on the STAR test. So I highly suggest, if you haven't already, watched the video that I sent out this weekend and pin the calculator to your taskbar so that you always have it there ready to go on your app bar in your Chromebook. Okay, so your turn now. I want you to work these in the cloud here, the your turn problems. If you have room, work them on the same page that you were working these problems on. You know, mine took up a lot of room here. I took up the whole page, and it's a mess, and I apologize for it being so messy. I know it is. I'll get more organized, I promise. Well, anyway, I want you to work these 3 your turns, and then I want you to go back and finish the tic-tac-toe. So let me head over there and show you what you need to do on that side too. So after you have finished watching the video and working the examples along with me in your notes and finishing up the your turn problems in the notes, and you have that picture now, you should be inserted into your journal file on your Google Drive. What I want you to do is come back to your course, click on modules, and I want you to go down to the bottom, and I want you to go back to this solving equations tic-tac-toe that we were working on. So when you open it up, it should look like this. Now, we started working on this on Friday, right? And you were only supposed to work 3 problems on each page, make 3 in a row. You could choose any 3 you wanted to work. And you should have completed slides 2 and 3. So you should have worked at least 3 problems on slides 2 and 3. So today I want you to come back and you're going to choose 3 problems on slide 4 and 3 problems on slide 5 to work. And then when you've finished, you need to be sure and insert a picture of your work for all 4 slides. So you should have at least 12 problems worked on your page showing your work. And you're going to insert your work here. So remember to do that. You go to Insert, Image, and then you do Camera. And click on that. It'll bring up your camera. You can take a picture of your work and you can put it here. You can take more than 1 picture if you need to and put them here. That's fine. Now, I'm requiring you to work 3 in a row. If you work any extra problems, I will give you bonus points. Okay, so I'll give you 1 bonus point for every extra problem that you work. So there's 9 problems on each page. You're required to work 3, so that's 6 extra bonus points per page that you could get. And I'll put those in Skyward in the bonus bank. And then at the end of the 9 weeks, it distributes those bonus points to the assignments that you need them. So that's how I work bonus points. But anyway, so you will not receive credit for this assignment if you do not put a picture of your work here. So after you finish that, you're going to need to go back to Canvas, and your screen's going to look different here. This is mine because I'm a teacher. But when you click Open Assignment, it brings up a new tab at the top, and there'll be a button that says Submit, a blue Submit Assignment button and a new tab, okay? So make sure you submit it because I won't get it to grade it unless you submit it. So that's the plan for today. After you finish up the video and the notes, go back now and let's finish up this tic-tac-toe assignment. Do 3 problems on here at least, and at least 3 problems on here in a row. Solve them, show your work on paper, insert your work here, and then submit that assignment.